Hey everybody, it's Alexander Dahl with Manifest Brutality, once again returning from my hibernation, as I tend to do somewhat when it starts getting cold out. I believe the last video that I made was sometime in October, so it's been about 3 months since the last time I made a video. There's some updates that have occurred, as well as kind of just some general direction that I'm taking when it goes to this project for documenting the way we interact. Just some back catalog admin update stuff. The original collaboration track that I put out was released. I believe that's in one of the previous videos. That's See and Me. That's out on SoundCloud if you participate in the Bedroom Band subreddit, or it's out on all of your major digital platforms to listen to music. The second collaboration track that I had sitting out there waiting for people has also been completed. That one is called Like Everyone Else. Same story, SoundCloud for the Bedroom Band community, and then also all of the other major distributors. I have 2 other collaboration tracks that are in the works. These ones I'm working on with people that are kind of more in my immediate musician family. One of them is, well, they're both people that I have been in bands with. One more recent than the other, but that's neither here nor there. I'm looking forward to completing those tracks as well. And then I have another one that I'll be posting to the Bedroom Bands community for collaboration with sometime in the next couple weeks or so. Which brings me to the ongoing project, the actual album work. All of the songs for... Oh, those are my cats. Both Kofi and my relatively new kitten, Archie, as he's referred to. His full name is Archduke Fluffles, so I always stumble on what exactly to call him. But typically I end up just calling him Poof. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. The actual album work for Quanta Stratum, the 2020 album, is coming along very nicely. All of the audio has been processed for the album, except for vocals, which need to yet be written and recorded and then engineered and mastered. Which is kind of something that I want to talk about today, as well as the direction for these videos in general. So we'll start with the Quanta Stratum stuff. So for this album, I want to do something a little bit more kind of exploratory in the concept, and what I mean by that is I want to write like a document that kind of explains the broader personification of the album, like where each of the different concepts is coming from and how they all tie together. And I started working on the document. It's probably going to take time. It'll come up in different iterations and inevitably be what it is in the end of whatever it becomes. So that's something that is in the works for Quanta Stratum. And then as far as like direction for this channel goes, and the reason why I felt comfortable taking such a long break is because at no point did I ever want this channel to like be something that I had to feel pressured to produce. I wanted this to be very free-flowing, free-going. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I stepped away from it for a couple months, is because I wanted that freedom. I didn't want to have to feel tied to it to continue to produce these videos, because quite frankly, in the tier and hierarchy of the things that I should be working on, these videos are important. However, they're flying under the radar because quite frankly I should be working on the other stuff, the content per se of what is these videos, and that fundamentally is the music, is the manifest brutality. And without that, there just wouldn't be, the underlying concept for these videos, which inevitably is the way that musicians interact, which I've had a bit of that over these past couple months. There was a couple people that I was supposed to interview that flaked out on me, because that's what they do. And so those interviews didn't happen. There was a couple that, they were reaching out to me, and then, like, I don't know, they just didn't understand the concept of what I was trying to do, or couldn't really provide any content to it. So it was difficult to get through those communications, because I have people reaching out to me that are expressing the want and desire to be recognized as a musician, except they aren't a musician. And I don't mean that condescendingly. I fundamentally mean in some cases, they don't even play an instrument. They're more in lines of like a poet, where they're writing lyrics and stuff. Sometimes not even to a specific rhythm or melody. They're just words that they put on a page, which is fine. That's art, and I don't have a problem with that. But it's that in itself doesn't quantify you and classify you as a musician. At that point, you're more of a literary writer. So I've had that as well, and I think me explaining to that person why that didn't classify as music was confusing to them, because in their mind, the timbre that they had written their words to was music enough for them. It had enough of a musical component in that nature that it should classify them as a musician. But as laureates will tell you, having a certain timbre in the way that you read a poem is intrinsic to poetry. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's exclusive to music. And there's a lot of that exists in the musical community, as to where there tends to be this concept of ownership, that anything that could be classified specifically as music belongs solely in the musical domain, and that's just not true. It is for the majority of it, because of the fundamental substance of what music is. But in instances like that, where you're monotonely reading words, but with a certain cadence, doesn't necessarily mean that it's music. It just means that you have an idea of an emotional delivery for something, which is fine. Again, that is also art. So that person is an artist, but I don't think it reached into the vein that they wanted it to. With that being said, there's a flip side to that too, where like spoken word musicians who fundamentally have no timbre to their music, or their words, I should say, are participating in creating music based on the idea and concept that they have around their lack of a cadence or timbre words, sort of thing, which kind of does classify them as a musician, simply based on proxy by the fact that they're able to convey, a musical concept, which goes into a gray area with the whole cadence thing. And maybe I'm the best person to be drawing those lines, but I don't know. I am what I am. I'm a drummer and a writer, and I do all this other stuff. So at some point, I have drawn a line for myself. It doesn't mean it's true for anybody else. So that has been in works. I have also been brushing up on drumming, because there's a couple live acts that I'm going to be participating in. One of them is for my friend Jarvis, and another one is for this other random group that I contacted, another Craigslist contact through all my interviews and stuff. They said they were looking for a drummer. I said that I would maybe, look into joining the group. But in the interim, I said I would show up for a couple practices and see if I'm a good fit. So that's stuff that's in the works. And that pretty much has us where we are. And that's everything I've been up to, with a little bit of a story of some interactions with musicians that I've had. And, there's been a few others that have happened in the past couple months too, where I talked to a guy who was actually interviewing musicians similarly to the way that I'm doing it, but not for the same goal. And I don't know, that was weird too. Everything's fucking weird. Which, they always say that, if everybody acts weird, and you know what, I'm not going to go on because I don't know. I don't remember how to properly phrase that, but essentially the gist of it is, if you have a problem with everybody, maybe the problem is you, sort of thing. So maybe if everybody else is weird, maybe I'm the weird one, I suppose is what I was getting at. In any case, that's it. That's all I got. Have a good night, and it was good talking to you guys again.